welcome. You're with us here on Business Today. I'm Abha Bakaya. Here are the day's top stories. Sensex falls 400 points. Nifty ends below 17,900. IT, metals, real estate, some of the top losers today. The rupee weakens significantly against a raging dollar on aggressive Fed rate hike prospect. Bank of America's survey shows investors fleeing equities en masse on fear of recession, allocations to stocks at record lows and cash exposure at all-time high. Tata step up their efforts to reinvigorate Air India, unveil transformation plan targeting 30% market share in next 5 years, will focus on network and fleet, customer experience, reliability among other issues. Transport Minister Nitin Gadkari says petrol and diesel vehicles must be discouraged to curb pollution, and the fuel import bill pushes LNG and hydrogen as the fuel of the future at the Siam Annual Convention. Detroit Auto Show returns with a bang after 2 years. President Biden rides an electric car and promises $900 million for charging infra. But petrol-powered cars clearly still rule the market. Investors were in for a rough ride yet again. After a volatile day of trade, markets ended in the red for a second day. Sensex gyrated within a more than 800-point range during the session, slipping below the 60,000 mark. In a seesaw session, Nifty too failed to hold on to 18,000 levels. Markets were weighed down by metals and IT stocks. The Nifty Bank, which had touched a lifetime high intraday, also slipped over 600 points. Hindalco, Infosys, Cipla, Tech Mahindra and Apollo Hospitals were the top blue-chip laggards. On the upside, auto stocks zoomed with Maruti Suzuki, Eicher Motors, some of them being the top Nifty gainers. Others included Adani Ports, NTPC and Power Grid. In a volatile market, it's the bank stocks which have been gaining traction. The stocks are back in vogue with SBI and ICICI Bank powering the Nifty Bank Index. The banking space is riding on the back of healthy loan growth and endorsements by brokerages. But will the momentum sustain? My colleague Sakshi Batra spoke to Chetan from Motilal Oswal. Listen in.
I want your thoughts on the Nifty Bank, coming to record levels of 41,840 intraday today. What led to this rally? Why are investors really chasing the banking stocks that performed remarkably well over the last 2 or 3 months as well? So help me understand, do you believe have things structurally changed for the banking space?
Yeah, thanks Sakshi. We have seen good outperformance in the Bank Nifty, and today it made the new lifetime high of 41,840. Earlier lifetime high was 41,826 marks. And the good part is we have seen good run up. If I look at YTD basis, your banking index is up by around 16%. If I look at the month-on-month basis, we have seen run up from all the way to 32,300 to 41,840 kind of level. So good run up of more than 10,000 points as seen in the Bank Nifty index. And the good part is that it has rallied by around 16% on YTD basis. So positive setup is clearly visible, and in this entire momentum, we have seen participation mainly from ICICI Bank, SBI. Support-based buying was seen in Axis Bank. Even the counter like IndusInd Bank has also seen the good run-up. So we believe this outperformance could continue in the banking index. However, in Nifty, we are still 700 points lower than its lifetime high, but Bank Nifty has made it. So we believe this outperformance will continue. On immediate basis, we have supported 40,250, and with the support of 40,250, slow and steady Bank Nifty is all set to head to us 43,000 to 43,500 zone.
Okay, so slowly and gradually to 43,500 zones. But in case I have to ask you till Diwali, since that's the next landmark that the markets are eyeing and the investors are watching out for, you said the Nifty Bank you expect to continue to outperform. So on technical charts by Diwali, what kind of levels do you really expect?
Yeah, so when you talk about on Diwali basis, we are looking near to 42,500, further 1,500 plus points rally from the current level. And if you look at the support, that will be near to around 40,000 mark. So 40,000 to 43,500 or 42,500 could be the major level we are looking for in Bank Nifty index.
Okay, but do you also expect Nifty Bank to outperform even the Nifty in the run-up to Diwali? And should that the index be on traders' radar? Should that be the preferred index?
Exactly, we are expecting this outperformance is likely to continue because what we have noticed in this market, selective IT counters are laggards, which is not allowing your Nifty to perform well in line to the broader market. So that is the reason. And again, we believe that momentum could continue in counter like SBI, ICICI Bank, Axis Bank, IndusInd Bank, and all these banking counter could lead from the front. So that's why we believe that Bank Nifty will outperform the broader market going forward as well.
Well, since the start of the year, markets across the globe have been in volatile territory. According to a Bank of America survey, investors are fleeing equities en masse amid the specter of a recession. As per the survey, allocations to stocks are at record lows and cash exposure at all-time highs. 52% of respondents of the survey are underweight on equities, while 62% are overweight on cash. The number of investors expecting a recession has reached the highest since May 2020. Moreover, the energy crisis is weighing heavily on risk appetite, with investors turning super bearish. About 42% of global investors are underweight on European equities. While Indian markets have outperformed its peers, will Indian investors also soon follow suit? That's the big question. IT services firm Tata Consultancy Services has emerged as the country's most valuable brand, as it more than doubled its brand value to $45.5 billion. According to Kantar Brands India, TCS beat HDFC Bank and Infosys to claim the top spot on the country's most valuable companies list. The brand value of TCS zoomed a whopping 212%, while HDFC Bank, which had the pole position for the past 6 years, rose 62% to $32.7 billion. Third on the list was another IT company, Infosys. It was followed by telecom major Airtel and Asian Paints. Tata Group owned Air India on Thursday announced its increase in domestic market share by over 30% in the next 5 years. That's the projection. The airline plans improvement in areas of customer service, technology, product reliability and hospitality through its 5-year mission called Vihan.ai. My colleague Karishma joining us with all those details. Karishma, currently, of course, Air India holds a domestic market share of 8%. Is 30% in 5 years achievable?
Well, it's a 5-year mega plan by Tata's Air India through its Vihan.ai mission. And like you said, Abha, it's going to be quite a journey from 8% to 30% market share, domestic market share that Tatas are talking about for its Vihan.ai mission for its, of course, special Maharaja. But I think it's a good strategy to go ahead with, because Air India in its recent announcement has also quite focused on expanding its domestic and international market. Recently, they also announced their addition of new fleet by leasing out 30 new aircrafts with a combination of Boeing and Airbus. So going forward, it looks like Vihan.ai could turn out a game changer because the essence of Air India and the emotional value that Air India carries with its Indian consumers could now further be upgraded and outshine with its special service after, of course, Vihan.ai helps in supporting that. But what is also being guaranteed is good customer service, timeliness, and most important they are mentioning is some kind of innovation in terms of technology that consumers can expect. 90 years, it's been 90 years that the first Air India aircraft, of course, was taken off and introduced by JRD Tata, to now where Tatas have got it back and now are looking to refurbish it and bring the best version of Air India to its consumers.
Thanks for that, Karishma. Global rating agency Fitch has joined others in lowering India's GDP forecast for the current fiscal. The agency said it expects India's growth to slow down and that it has cut the GDP growth forecast for 22-23 to 7% from 7.8%. The reasons Fitch gave for this downgrade include the global slowdown, elevated inflation and a tighter monetary policy. Fitch follows other global agencies in lowering their India growth estimates as well. While Goldman Sachs has lowered its estimate to 7%, Morgan Stanley has set 7.2% as the GDP growth target. Citibank is predicting a 6.7% growth, while Nomura has the lowest figure of all at just 4.7%. Even multilateral agencies like the IMF and Asian Development Bank have lowered their India GDP growth estimates. The Reserve Bank of India, meanwhile, expects the Indian economy to grow by 7.2% this year. Here's what else is making news in the corporate world. Tamil Nadu Mercantile Bank hit the bourses today. It was a muted listing. Shares listed at a discount of 3% against the issue price of 510 rupees. Market veteran Shankar Sharma backed Annapurna Swadesh's IPO has opened for subscription today. The price band of the share sale has been fixed in the range of 68 to 70 rupees. The net proceeds from the issue will be utilized towards setting up additional units in West Bengal and expanding the product range to eastern and northeastern states. The country's largest lender, State Bank of India, has raised the benchmark prime lending rate by 70 basis points to 13.45%. This would lead to EMIs going up for the borrowers who have taken loans at the base rate. BPCL slipped in trade today after Oil and Petroleum Minister Hardeep Singh Puri said that plans to disinvest the company had been put on hold. The Union Minister did not give any timeline for when it may be considered. The centre had earlier called off the ongoing process of strategic disinvestment. BMW India is witnessing a solid recovery in the market. The company in the first 8 months has clocked over 51% growth in four-wheeler and 45% growth in two-wheelers. Business Today TV's Chetan Bhutani caught up with Vikram Pawah, President and CEO at BMW India, on the festive season and growth plans going forward.
Tell us about how the year is going so far. Festive season is coming up. We have held a record number of sales with good launches in electric vehicles also. How has this year been now?
So I think, Chetan, what we have seen since the pandemic kind of settled down, there's a slow and very solid recovery in the market, and especially for us, we are seeing rapid comeback of customers into the dealerships, inquiring about products, and I think excited about, especially with the new launches, to try out the new products and buy them. So just to give you some figures, in the first 7 months of the year, we have actually, 8 months now, August is also finished. The first 8 months of the year, we actually clocked 51% growth in our four-wheeler segment and 45% growth in our two-wheeler segment. So really solid growth, record numbers in both these segments for the year. It is also our 15th year of operation, so feels good that we are able to deliver, record number of customer deliveries in a year which is a 15th year of celebration. So I think this will continue. This will continue.
Recently, there were problems regarding manufacturing facilities, various rumors were going. Could you just tell us if there are any plans for additional manufacturing by BMW? Would you just like to clear the air?
So BMW is committed to India, and we've, I think, invested in India over the last 15 years. So we have our facilities in Chennai, which is our manufacturing plant. We have offices in Gurgaon and training center in Gurgaon, and also we got some purchasing office in Bangalore. And we are committed to that. There is no plan to invest further in any facility.
So then why did that faux pas happen then?
I think you're asking the wrong person.
It's considered to be one of the biggest Motown shows in the world, and after being in the slow lane for 2 years, the Detroit Auto Show is back. As expected, EVs are the big stars, with President Joe Biden even driving one on the black carpet. But don't rule out the traditional combustion engines just as yet.
President Joe Biden taking a victory lap in a Cadillac EV at the Detroit Auto Show.
Come on, jump in it. Give you a ride to Washington. Come on, we're ready. Does that make it work? Uber ride? That's an Uber.
But then he was back in a V8 petrol-powered Corvette.
I'll tell you what.
Drive or not, watch out.
I'll say to my head of my Secret Service detail, I'm driving home.
Accompanied by top transport department officials, the U.S. president announced a $900 million grant to set up 500,000 charging stations for electric cars in 35 U.S. states. Meanwhile, Detroit's automakers say they are ready to go all electric, showing off a number of new EVs. Chevrolet took the wraps off two new electric models, the Chevy Blazer SUV and the Equinox compact SUV. On the other side of the show floor, Dodge has its Daytona SRT concept, billed as the first electric muscle car. Ford is showing off the electric Lightning variant of its immensely popular F-150 truck. Also in attendance are manufacturers showing off their electric car chargers and other EV infrastructure wares. With the US government spending heavily on conversion to EV, the sector turned highly profitable. However, despite the prominent showing of EVs, Detroit Motor Show is still predominantly about cars running on petrol engines.
Let's look at the evolution of the automobile and the ICE. When it first came out, you know, where it was and where it is now, there's development time that takes. It's not, we're such a society that's instant, you know, go through the drive-through and get everything instantly. I think, you know, it's just going to take some time to get there.
Among the big launches in Detroit, the all-new 7th generation of the Ford Mustang, Chevrolet also took the wraps off its 433 horsepowered 6.2-litre V8 Tahoe SUV with a top speed of 200 km per hour. And these are the displays which still attract the most crowds. Bureau Report, Business Today TV.
He is the top economic advisor to Prime Minister Narendra Modi, heading the powerful Prime Minister Economic Advisory Council. But even this exalted status could not save Vivek Debroy from being scammed by an online retailer. The 67-year-old economist tweeted this morning that he had ordered a Philips iron through Amazon, but the box he received instead had some kind of a brush and an unidentified object resembling the top of a conch shell. The top-level economist won over the social media by following up his tweet with two limericks. The first went, "We ordered an iron in a box, as delivered, something to Fox. Between Philips and Amazon, the responsibility will drag on, but customer service needs to detox." This was followed by another one. "Will customer response be faster or a complete disaster? Without a start, there is no finish, but reputation does diminish, with service yet to master." The new iPhone lineup was launched last week at a grand event in Cupertino, but the iPhones will only reach early bird customers later this week. At Business Today, we are asking the million-dollar question: should you shell out the big bucks on the iPhone 14 lineup? Our tech editor, Ayush Alawadi, brings you all the answers in this exclusive review.
Well, it's iPhone season, and you know what that means on Tech Today. We have the iPhone 14 lineup exclusively for you, a first look and a hands-on on the show. The iPhone 14, because this is the youngest sibling now, since there's no iPhone 13 mini or an iPhone 14 mini. They've discontinued the mini line. And then the biggest sibling, the eldest sibling, the iPhone 14 Pro Max in all its splendor in this deep purple. I'll get to the color in a bit, because at every different angle when the light hits this phone, it looks different. It grows on you, the color looks fantastic. The iPhone 14 comes in a different sort of a blue. The minute you hold this, this feels quite light. This, of course, is much heavier. Remember, we were chasing the 12 Pro Max in 2020 and all throughout 2021. Now in 2022, Apple has outdone themselves. Bigger sensors obviously mean more light can enter, and that also means better low-light photography, so better night photography as well. But there's a catch. All these years, we've seen 3 12-megapixel sensors on the iPhone. They've been optimized, they give you great camera output, but this is the first time that it looks like iPhones and Apple are trying to compete with the Samsung Galaxies of the world and the other Android manufacturers, because they've given you a primary sensor on the Pro series and the Pro Max, which is a 48 megapixel. Let's also get to the iPhone 14. Great device, given that this is the base model and it comes with all the features that Apple has announced, like crash detection, SOS via satellite will be rolled out very soon. And this year is not like last year. Apple has given you the A16, which is the new Bionic chipset on the Pro line. On the standard 14 line, it's given you last year's A15. Look, manufacturers all over the world have been trying to innovate, but Apple knows how to market their products really well. A small feature, if you just turn on some music on this phone and you swipe up, you see the notch? It automatically becomes bigger and wider. This is a beautiful software implementation in terms of what Apple has done with the new Pro line and of course with iOS 16. So the notch has become more of a pill-shaped sort of cutout which has so much more functionality. I can't believe how other manufacturers haven't considered this in the past. But this is how the notch or pill cutout looks, how small it looks now on the iPhone. A lot of other manufacturers have done away with it completely, but there's a lot of use cases there. And then this is how the notch looks on the iPhone 14, very standard in terms of how we've seen it over the years. Now, in terms of what the camera can do, of course, now cinematic mode can go up to 4K 30, which you couldn't do earlier. So that's a big upgrade when you're talking about cinematic mode. You also get action mode on the camera, which Apple says means you don't need a gimbal anymore. I'm not sure about that. What we will do is we will test it with a GoPro, we will test it with a gimbal and tell you how the stabilization is. In terms of the Pro Max, look, every year there's a whole bunch of enthusiasts who want to invest in the top of the line iPhones. From the 12 Pro Max to the 13 Pro Max, maybe that wasn't the ideal upgrade, but for the first time I can safely say a lot has changed under the hood and a lot has changed on the outside as well. Features like dynamic island, always on display, what they've done with the cameras and this deep purple color make this perhaps a contender to be the best iPhone yet and maybe the best premium smartphone of 2022. We will test that claim on Tech Today, so stay tuned to Business Today TV for more.
And that's all we have time for on the show tonight. Thanks so much for watching.